excited myself, and I just hope that the Most High lead now through this whole teaching, so that we get to learn. Um, um, Before we start, yeah. So before we start, like I said, before we start, uh, I will tell you. I just want to tell my short story. Nyana, there's something that I want to tell about my story. Me growing up, basically, I grew up in a Christianity church. Holeng wa ka ke holetse Christianity church, and but when I was in Christianity church, I had a lot of questions. I had a lot of questions. I was asking myself a lot of questions. Questions like what? I was studying so to say questions like what? I mean, sorry. So the questions like what? Okay, if Modimo a rata batho kaofela, why re sokola hakana kana, and why re le ra tlameha hore ntho tse tshwanang le apartheid e le go modimo o reng ka yona ntho eno. Why is it hore ha re kgone go rekisetsa di-country tse ding mara bona ba kgone go rekisetsa? I had such questions even when I was so I had such questions, but I could not ask such questions. Imagine I used to think with you. Imagine if I asked such questions, who would answer me such questions? You say, "Good, your questions is something else." And so the questions that I had, like I said, I had questions like, if the Most High loves everybody, why did we have to go to things like apartheid? Why are we the ones struggling? Why are we the ones living in the ghettos, packed? We don't even like places like more sokolang haholo teng. Why are we the ones? Why? I had such questions. Why is it like that? Why is it like that? Until I came to the knowledge of the truth, and I learned a lot. All praises be to the Most High. And so what I've learned, and then I got to see with no man, the reason why we are struggling like this is because of we are the true children of Israel. And the reason for our struggle is because of our forefathers broke we broke God's commandments. Even today, we are still doing the same thing, really. So I just came to an understanding. It was only by breaking God's commandments. The reason why we are struggling like this was simply because of the breaking of God's commandments. This was a reason for everything. Now, so from there, until I got the answer, and I saw good to know, man, the Bible answers itself. You don't need anything. I don't need to make up my own thing, but the Bible explains itself clearly. Because today, what you gotta understand, we have been taught that the Israelites are white. Those people, those Jewish, so-called Jewish, because the word Jewish, it means to be like. So those Jewish acting to be like Jews, which are not. I learned. I got to see. Good to know we are the true children of Israel by flesh, and the Bible explained itself. So today I'm just gonna show the relations, like I said, and. So when we get to the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28, that's whereby Moses was prophesying unto the children of Israel, because starting from verse number 1 to 14, those were the blessings of which the children of Israel would have received if they listened unto the voice of the Most High. And so starting from verse number 1 to 14, if they listened unto and starting from verse number 15 to 68, those were the cases if they don't listen. Starting from verse number 15 to 68, if they did not listen unto the voice of the Most High. So we see what they did not listen. Why am I saying what I'm saying? Because the cases was saying, if they don't listen, the Most High said it to them, if you don't listen, I'm going to take you guys into slavery. meaning what he's going to allow these nations to come and take us into slavery. So we see what the Israelites did not listen. Why am I saying that? What they did not listen? Because they went into different slavery. Okay, whenever we get to the Egyptian slavery was prophesied by the Most High unto our forefather Abraham. He told our forefather Abraham, according to Genesis chapter 15, that's where he told him. Now, how do we see what they did not listen? Because they went into slavery like Assyrian captivity, and then after Assyrian captivity, it was Babylonian captivity, and then after Babylonian captivity, it was Medo-Persia captivity, and then after Medo-Persia captivity, it was Greek captivity, and then which that captivity? Where do we find that captivity? Greek captivity. Greek captivity, we find it on Apocrypha, on the book of Maccabees. And what happened to it? Why was it not in the Bible? What you got to understand, King James 1611 was the first Bible which was made. And what you got to understand, King James did not write the Bible, but he looked for scholars. So the Bible was written in Hebrew. So he looked for scholars. So they interpreted Bible from Hebrew to another language on the 1600s. And on the 1611, that's whereby the King James Bible was published. Now, one thing that you got to understand, when the Romans actually got hold of the Bible in the 1700s, they thought over those scriptures and then they took them out. That is why you can check the whole Bible. Roman captivity, you find it. It was the time period of Christ. Whenever you go, you look for Greek captivity, you can't find it anywhere because they removed those scriptures. So Greek captivity, we find it on the book of Maccabees. And then after Greek captivity, then came Roman captivity. And then Roman captivity, it was the time period whereby Christ was here. So the time period of Christ. And then after Roman captivity, then came what? America. This is the last captivity that we are in. This is the last captivity. Yeah, I know. Yeah, but this is the last captivity, which is so-called America, which is so-called spiritual Babylon, according to Revelations 18 and 19. But yeah, so so as we are about to start now, we will go first. I just want to show you the first captivity that the children of Israel went to, the Assyrian captivity. So you're gonna see, we're gonna see. We're gonna read from verse number 1 to 8, basically. Okay, don't underline everything. Just gonna read until 8. Today I won't be reading Soto Bible, but I'll try to explain also in Soto here. Okay. This was the first captivity that. So what you gotta understand. So there's a. Whenever we talk about Israel, we are referring, or Ephraim, we are referring to the other 10 tribes of Israel, because Israel consists of 12 tribes. We are referring to the other 10 tribes of Israel. And whenever we talk about Judah, we are referring to the 3 tribes, because the Levites were everywhere. What you got to understand, their separation happened on 1 Kings chapter 12. After King Solomon fell into whoredom, the Most High separated the kingdoms from him. So Israel was separated from Judah. So whenever we talk about Judah, we are referring to the 3 tribes. The tribe of Judah, the tribe of Benjamin, the tribe of Levi, because the Levites were everywhere. They were the ones which were the priests. So, and then with the other 10 tribes, even Judah, so the other 10 tribes, so like I said, the Levites were everywhere. So the other 10 tribes, they went and it talks about, and they separated from the house of Judah and they started worshipping idols. So the Assyrian captivity, they're the ones who went to it. So you will hear, it will tell you about the king of Judah, which is the king of Judah of the 3 tribes. I told you where the separation happened. And then it's going to tell us about who's this? Hoshea. And then which is the king of the other 10 tribes of Israel. The other 10 tribes, when we refer to them, we say they were the northern kingdom, and then the tribe of Judah, those are the southern kingdom, northern kingdom. So because they separated, like I said. So this was the first captivity, Assyrian captivity. So listen to this. It says, "Good." 2 Kings chapter 17, verse number 1 says, "Good in the 12th year of Ahaz, king of Judah." Sorry, let me repeat. It says, "Good in the 12th year of Ahaz, king of Judah, began Hoshea the son of Elah to reign in Samaria over Israel 9 years. So what you got to understand, the other 10 tribes, they were living in Samaria. Because of Samaria is the capital city of so is the Ephraim is the no is the Samaria is the capital city of Ephraim, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So the people who were dwelling at Samaria, those were the other 10 tribes. So it says good by the time of Hoshea the son of Elah. So it says good in the 12th year of Ahaz the king of Judah began Hoshea the son of Elah to reign in Samaria over Israel 9 years. 9 years. So he reigned in over Israel. Now he was reigning over the other 10 tribes. And then Ahaz, the king of Judah. So Ahaz was ruling over Judah, and then Hoshea was reigning over Israel, the other 10 tribes. But together they are the Israelites, but the separation I explained where did it happen. So so it says, in the 12th year of Ahaz, the king of Judah, began Hoshea, the son of Elah, to reign in Samaria over Israel 9 years. So he reigned for 9 years. Let's see what happened now. This was that captivity. This is the Assyrian captivity. You're gonna see the time phrase as the time period of Assyrian captivity. It says, and he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, but not as the kings of Israel that were before him. So when wrong by doing so, in the eyes of the Most High, what did he do? Worshipping of idols, like I said. And remember, I told you according to Deuteronomy chapter 28. So when they did such things, the Most High said they will go into what? They will go into captivity. The other nations will carry them into captivity. Because why? Because of worshiping these other gods. So verse number 3 says, against him came up Shalmaneser, king of Assyria. Why? The Most High was not with them. That's why even whenever Shalmaneser was coming against them, they were able to defeat them. Because why? They were breaking God's commandments. That was one of the punishment we get for breaking God's commandment. You'll see. Verse number 3 says, against him came up Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, and Hoshea became his servant and gave him presents. So he was the servant to Shalmaneser, king of Assyria. Why? Because of breaking God's commandments. You're gonna see it. Let's go on. And then verse number 4, it says, and the king of Assyria found conspiracy in Hoshea, for he had sent messengers to the king of Egypt and brought no presents to the king of Assyria. So Nasa stop below the present of king of Assyria, and that thing made the king of Assyria to become mad, because he was a servant to him. Why? Because of breaking God's commandments. So the Most High was not, what you got to understand, once we broke God's commandments, the Most High was not dealing with us. And he made sure to these nations, they take us into captivity. We struggle, they take everything that we owned. Because of what you got to understand, the leadership, the rulership was, the rulership belonged to the Israelites. So when they were breaking God's commandments, the punishment was that if you keep on breaking keep on breaking God's commandments, like Moses prophesied unto them, the blessings and the curses, the curses will fall onto them, and the curses was that they will get into slavery. So these other nations will carry them into slavery. So let's go on now. Verse number, where was I reading? Verse number 4 says, and the king of Assyria found conspiracy in Hoshea, for he had sent messengers to Saul, king of Egypt, and brought no presents to the king of Assyria. And as he done year by year. So he used to do that, bringing the presents unto the king of Assyria, but now he stopped. So this thing made the king of Assyria mad. I want you to hear what happens. Therefore, the king of Assyria shut him up and bound him into prison because if he stopped bringing presents unto the king of Assyria. So now verse number 5, he says, then the king of Assyria came up throughout all the land and went up to Samaria and besieged it 3 years. Why? He was able to besiege. He was able to come against them because of what? Because of they broke God's commandments. They were worshiping idols. That was the punishment for us doing that. But I want you to see something. It says in verse number 6, it says in the 9th year of Hoshea, king of Assyria took Samaria. So they took the whole Israel and carried Israel away into Assyria. I mean, they took them into captivity, into slavery, and carried Israel away into Assyria, the other 10 tribes away into Assyria, and placed them in Halah, in the harbor by the river of Gezon, and in the cities of the Medes. Verse number 7 says, for so it was that the children of Israel had sinned against the Lord their God. Do you see why the Most High was not with them? The cases of Deuteronomy 28 were taking place. Says, verse number 7 says, for it was so that the children of Israel had sinned against the Lord their God, which had brought them out of the land of Egypt, from under the hand of Pharaoh, the king of the king of Egypt, and had feared other gods. So they were worshipping other gods, like I said, and had feared other gods. Verse number 8, and walked in the statutes of the heathen, whom the Lord cast out from before the children of Israel, and the kings of Israel which they had made. So the Most High, so they started worshipping idols of other nations. That's why they went into Assyrian captivity. It was the punishment for us, that thing. So now we're gonna jump now to the Babylonian captivity now. 2 Kings chapter 24. I will start from verse number 9 though, because I just want to jump so that we get to. So the second captivity, the tribe which went into this captivity was the tribe of Judah now. Because also now, when time went on, even though they were with the Most High, they learned everything. They were not the first tribe to fall into whoredom. So they still did the same thing, and they fell into whoredom, and the punishment was what? Was the captivity. Like it was mentioned, the captivity. One thing that was happening, sorry about that. So, like it was mentioned, whenever we get into, if they start worshiping idols, the Most High said, no, they will go into what? A captivity. So, slavery, I mean. So, slavery. So, I think we'll begin from verse number 8. So let's go to 2 Kings chapter 24. Like I said, this is the time. This is whereby the period. This was the period of the Babylonian captivity, whereby the tribe of Judah, Nebuchadnezzar was going to take the tribe of Judah into slavery. Why? Because of nobody broke God's commandments still, like the other 10. So this was the second captivity that I was telling you about. We'll start reading from verse number 8. And then going down, I think I'm gonna end at verse number. Even if we end at verse number 16, no problem. Okay, end here. Okay, 16 only. 16 only. All praises, all praises. So verse number 8. Listen to what it says. It says, Jehoiachin was 18 years old. Jehoiachin was 18 years old when he began to reign. And he reigned in Jerusalem 3 months. So he was reigning over the tribe of Judah. This guy. It says, Jehoiachin was 18 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned in Jerusalem 3 months. And his mother's name was Nehushta, the daughter of Elnathan of Jerusalem. Okay, let's go on. Verse number 9, it says, and he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, according to all that his father had done. So he started worshiping idols now, and he did it worse than he did the same evil like his forefathers were doing. But let's go on. It says, at that time, the servants of Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, came up against Jerusalem, and the city was besieged. So they came against them, and the city of Jerusalem, the city of God, Israel. So the city of God was besieged by who? By the Babylonians. Because why? Why didn't the Most High save them? Somebody can ask that question. Because they broke God's commandments. They were worshiping idols, and the punishment for doing that, the Most High said that he will send these other nations against them, and they will take them into captivity, and they will take everything that they own. So it says what now? It says what at that time, the servants of of Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, came up against Jerusalem, and the city was besieged. So what lay against Jerusalem, and the city of Jerusalem was besieged by them. So verse number 11, it says, and Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, came up against the city, and his servants did besiege it. So they destroyed the temple of the Most High by that time. They destroyed the temple of Jerusalem. Why? Because the children of Israel were wicked as hell. Because now with the Jews, they are still the children of Israel. So they were wicked as hell. So the Most High said the punishment for us doing that was what? A captivity. Being servants and being killed by these other nations. It was a punishment for them. So it says, let me show you something. It says, verse number 12. Verse number 12 says, Jehoiachin, the king of Judah, went out to the king of Babylon, and he and his mother and his servants and his princes and his officers, and the king of Babylon took him in the 8th year of his reign. So into captivity be 8 arena in Judah, in Jerusalem. So let's hear verse number 13. It says, and he carried out thence all the treasures of the house of the Lord. So when he was besieging Jerusalem, he even took the treasures of the house of the Lord. So it's all the treasures of the house, all the treasures of the house of the Lord, and the treasures of the king's house, and cut pieces all the vessels of gold which Solomon the king of Israel had made in the temple of the Lord, as the Lord had said. So he destroyed the temple. So verse number 14, he says, verse number 14, and he carried away all Jerusalem. So he carried away all Jerusalem. So he carried away all Jerusalem. So all Jerusalem was taken into captivity, meaning all Judah was taken into captivity. He carried away all Jerusalem and all the princes and all the mighty men. Even the mighty men could not fight against the Babylonians. Why? Because the Most High was no longer in their side because of breaking God's commandments. That's what the mighty men of Vela? Oh my God. Yeah, Vela. Even the 10,000 captives and all the craftsmen and the smiths, none remained, save the poorest sort of the people of the land. Verse number 15 says, he carried away Jehoiachin to Babylon. So he took them into Babylon captivity. Why? Because they broke God's commandments. It says, he carried away Jehoiachin to Babylon, and the king's mother and the king's wives, so and his officers and his mighty of the land, and the mighty of the land, and those carried he into captivity, meaning into slavery, from Jerusalem to Babylon. And then verse number 16 says, all the men of might, even 7,000, and the craftsmen and the smiths 8,000, and all that were strong, and apt for war, even them the king of Babylon brought captivity to Babylon. The king of Babylon brought captive to Babylon. So he brought them captives. Even the mighty men of Israel, he took them captives. Because why? The Most High was no longer in their side. So this was the time period of Babylonian captivity. So this is whereby the Babylonians took who? They took the Israelites into captivity. So this was that captivity that I mentioned, the Babylonian captivity. And then after Babylonian captivity came what captivity now? The captivity which came was what was a Medo-Persia captivity. Okay. When did the Medo-Persia captivity take place? I think it was Daniel 6. Daniel 6. So I just want us to read. So this is whereby the Medes were coming against Babylon, and then after they besieged the land of Babylon, they still had our people. Our people were still captives to them, but on their period, the period of the Medes. That's whereby they. After that, they let us go back home to build Jerusalem again. Why am I saying what I'm saying? I will show you on the book of Ezra. So basically, I want to show this captivity now. Just gonna read some few things. Like I said, Daniel chapter 6, I think. It's Daniel chapter 6. Yeah, I think it's Daniel chapter 6. Is it chapter 6? Yeah, I think it's chapter 6. Um, um, so this is whereby then is it Belteshazzar? It's not Belteshazzar. Who was that? The name of Belteshazzar. So Belteshazzar nkile treasures of the Most High, the treasures of Jerusalem, the holy, the king of Babylon by that time. After that, and then there was the angel came and then wrote on the wall, was it many tekel or what? Meaning your days are numbered. And then after that, so the Most High made the Medo-Persia to come up against Babylon, because of everything is done by the Most High. But what I'm trying to explain, and then the Persians came up against the Medes came up against the Medes, the Persian Medes, and they came up against Babylon, and then and destroyed them and destroyed the Babylonians. And then after that, it was their rule. Now, okay, let's go to Daniel chapter 6. Please, let's go there. Okay. So, the chamber towards Jerusalem and knelt times and times, and they give thanks to God. There's something that I want. So this is where it says, "Good commanded that they brought the man he had accused Daniel into the okay. That's not what I want. There's something that I want. I want that time where he was telling Belteshazzar. So good. When Daniel was prophesying to him, so after the Babylonians, it was the Persians who came. Belteshazzar was slain. They took the kingdom. So just gonna read from it's chapter 5. Excuse me, sorry for that. Okay, it's chapter 5. Okay, we'll start reading from verse number start reading from verse number. So give more, like I said, this is whereby they drank wine with the things, and then the angel wrote, and then Daniel came and interpreted the thing, and then King David and told him. I will just read it from there where it started. No, I'm just gonna read because I want us to be fast because of time. I think we're gonna start from verse number 22. Yeah, verse number 22. This is where I will start. Verse number 22 to verse number 31 maybe. Because we just want to read fast. Verse number 31 maybe. I will end here. We're gonna end there. Ne? So this is that time, like I said, so whereby Belteshazzar was using the Belshazzar, I mean, not Belteshazzar, Belshazzar was using the holy things of the Most High. So the Most High and said, "Good, his days are numbered. His days were numbers because the Persians were coming up to destroy them." It's just good to end. It's Daniel chapter 6, Daniel chapter 5, verse number 22. I mean, Daniel chapter 5, verse number 22. It says, "Good to endow, and though his son, O Belteshazzar, has not humbled thine heart, though thou knowest all this." Verse number 23, it says, let's listen to what it says. Good, but has lifted up thine self against the Lord of heaven, and they have brought the vessels of the house before thee, and thou and thy lords and thy wives and thy concubines have drunk wine in them, and thou hast praised the gods of silver and gold and brass and iron and wood and stone, which see not, nor hear, nor know, and the God in whose hand thy breath is, and who are all thy whose or are all let me repeat again. Oh my goodness. So it says, but thou hast lifted up thyself against the Lord. So this is whereby Belshazzar, is it Belshazzar? Belshazzar, the king of Babylon, took the holy things of the Most High, and drank, honoring his gods of silver with the things of the Most High. So the Most High said it, your days are numbered now. So let's listen what happened. It says, but thou hast lifted up thyself against the Lord of heaven, and they have brought the vessels of his house before thee, and thou and thy lords and thy wives and thy concubines have drink wine in them, and thou hast praised the gods of silver and gold, of brass, iron, wood, and stone, which see not, nor hear, nor know, and the God in whose hand thy breath is, and whose are all thy ways hast thou not glorified. So he was worshiping his gods, the gods of Babylon, with the vessels deemed holy. Let's listen what happens. Let's go deep. Then was the part of the hand sent from him, and the writings was written. Verse number 25 says, good what? It says, good, and this was the writings that was written, mene tekel. You fasten, okay, mene, it says good, so the angel of the hand, there was in hand, whereby the angel hold good, mene tekel, you fasten. And then verse number 26, let us hear what happened. It says good, this is the interpretation of the thing, mene, God have remembered thy kingdom and finished it. So the Musa was telling Belshazzar through Daniel, God had, so what you gotta understand, after, let me explain the story, what was happening. So they were using I'm sure they besieged Jerusalem. After besieging Jerusalem, and they took even the holy vessels of the Most High into Babylon. So when he was at Babylon, what did he do? He took the holy things of the Most High and drank and celebrated to his to his gods. And then so this thing made the Most High to be grieved. And then he said, he sent an angel, and then in the wall, the thing that was written was mene tekel. Mene tekel, meaning your days are numbered. And then he called his wise men and all the people, and they could not interpret it except for the only person who could interpret it. It was Daniel. So he had to call Daniel to come and interpret that thing there. So so this is what it was saying. It says verse number 26. It says this is the interpretation of the thing. Many God have numbered the kingdom and finished it. Tekel, thou art weighed in the balance and art found wanting. Oh, wanting, yeah. And then verse number 28. Perez, thy kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and the Persians. Okay, you see, this is whereby the Musa was saying the Medes and the Persians were coming to attack him. So let's go to verse number 29. And then commanded Belshazzar, and they clothed Daniel with scarlet and put a chain of gold about his neck, and made a proclamation concerning him, that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom. So they blessed Daniel for interpreting what the angel wrote there. It says, in that night was Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans, slain. The Chaldeans, it refers to the Babylonians. Says the king of the Chaldeans slain. So he was killed by who? Says then Darius the Median took the kingdom, and being about 62 years old. So that's whereby the Medo-Persians did what? They came up against Babylon. So that was the Fed captivity. Now, is it the Fed? Yeah. Fed captivity, which was the Medo-Persia captivity. So this is where it took place. And then after Medo-Persia captivity, we know during this captivity, this is whereby our forefathers were sent home to go back to build Jerusalem, according to Ezra chapter 1. But what we just want to see the different captivities. And then after this captivity here, after this captivity here, after the Medo-Persian captivity, then came Greek captivity, of which I told you we find that on the book of Maccabees, on Apocrypha, and I explained what happened to those scriptures. So I remember there's a scripture here, and I just want to find it. That shows, and then after the Greeks, it was after Medo-Persia, it was Greek captivity. I think Daniel chapter 10, verse number 20 explains. He said it. It was mentioned somewhere here, because I just want to jump fast so that we get to the point. I want to get to the point. Daniel chapter 10. So after the Medo-Persia captivity, then came the Greek captivity. Now, Greek captivity at 10:20, I think. Yeah. So Daniel chapter 10, verse number 20. Then after Medo-Persia captivity, then came the Greeks, and then after the Greeks, it was the Roman, and the Greeks were white. Those were the white people. Even the Romans were still white. But I'm gonna show you something. Don't worry. It says with Daniel. I want Daniel. Daniel chapter 10. I want verse number 20. Just go to it. Only verse number 20. So after the Medo-Persia captivity, then came the Greeks. It was the Greek captivity that came. Okay, let me read this thing. It says with Daniel chapter 10, verse number 20. It says with then said he, knowest thou wherefore I come unto thee, and now will I return to fight with the prince of Persia. And let's listen what he says. It says good, and when I am gone forth, lo, the prince of the Grecians shall come. Meaning with the Grecians, that's whereby the Greek captivity was coming. And then after Greek captivity now, the captivity that came after, it was the Roman captivity. Now, this was the time period of Christ. Now we are getting somewhere. We are going somewhere. So what you gotta understand, but during the captivity of the Romans now, by the time of Christ, the temple was not yet. They did not like into temple and Baba is. But Christ prophesied. So now you're gonna get to understand today. Those people that you refer to as the Israelites are not the true Israelites of the book. Because whenever we go to Luke 21, it's just going to explain this. We'll start from verse number 21. Luke 21. Like I said, we'll start from verse number 21. Like I said. So I'm just going to jump straight to Luke 21. Luke 21 was underlined until 24. Verse number 24. All praises be to the Most High for this. Listen to this. So even here, Judah broke God's commandments still. And I want you to hear what the Most High said. Even Christ told them about the prophets, because they broke God's commandments. The prophecy still had to take place. So I want you to hear what it says. Verse number 21, Luke 21 until 24. Luke chapter 21, verse number 21 to 24. I want you to hear what it says. Good. Then let them. So Christ was telling them, they must, because the prophets, like Deuteronomy chapter 22, 28 in the Sebaka. Clearly. It's like this one can Sebaka clearly. Why? Because of the Roman, but it was the time period of the Romans. So never spoke about the whole temple. But Christ said something to them. He says, then let them which are in Judea flee into the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out. So why? It says, and let not them that are in the countries enter there into. Verse number 22. Why? For this is the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. Which things? On Deuteronomy chapter 28, because the tribe of Judah still broke God's commandments here. It says, but woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. So the Romans they will besiege the whole temple of Jerusalem. Let's hear what it says. For there shall be great distress in the land. and the wrath upon these people, upon what the tribe of Judah, because they were busy breaking God's commandments. Listen to what it says, what's going to happen? Listen to what this is. What so what you got to understand? One of the prophets which was prophesied, we're going to be carried away into all nations as captives because of breaking God's commandments. So verse number 24, listen to verse number 24. It says, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword. Who's going to fall? The house of Judah. I mean, the Israelites are going to fall by the edge of the sword. It says, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and they shall be led away captives into all nations. They will be taken as slaves into all nations. What's going to happen to them? It says, in Jerusalem. So you're going to understand the Jews that are there in Jerusalem are not the real Israelites, because the prophecies, this is what Christ says, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles. So mean Jerusalem will be taken by the Gentiles. The people that you're seeing there at Jerusalem, they are not the Israelites, but they are the Gentiles. Until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled, until Christ comes back. So now we know, understand what the people which are there in Jerusalem, they're not the true Israelites. So there's a book that I want us to read. So when they were coming to besiege Jerusalem, one thing that you gotta learn, the Jews, when they ran away from, because Israel, I know they say it is in Middle East. When they were running away from Jerusalem, they came to Africa. That's how you'll see it's gonna make a clear sense, even how the Bantu migration happened, and how even that some of so-called, because we call them the Americans, black Americans, you'll see they were taken by slave ships. Those are our people. And it will show you that they are the true Israelites by flesh, because the cases of Deuteronomy suits them. You'll see when we go on. Even us, it even suits us. We Bantu people, and you will see we were together there, and we'll even get to see what was the reason why we migrated down to south. What was the reason? What were we running from? So Christ said it until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Okay, there's a book that I want now. I'm just gonna come out here. Basically, what I want is there's a book that I want, so that I want to show you some. Yeah, this is what I want. I want this book right here. So I'm just gonna open it. There's some fewer shots so that we learn. What page is that? Okay, I'm gonna read those fewer pages. He further proves on that captivity, the Roman captivity, what happened to the Jews, the black Jews. Because we even checked, we saw what the Bible explains itself, that the Jews, the people, the Israelites of the book are actually black. Okay, please open up that thing for me. My God. Oh, okay. Open the book for me. Bear with me. Okay. All praises. So this book is written from Babylon to Timbuktu, and it's written by, let's see the author's name, From Babylon to Timbuktu, and it is written by Randolph R. Windsor. Yeah. So forgive me if I mispronounce his name. So this is the author of the book. I want to jump straight to the page. He explains something about let me see something. What is the book about? So that we get to see. It says good today, a history of Asian black races, including the black Hebrews, including the black Israelites, because the people of the book are black, man. You're gonna see the whole aim. What was happening? Why did we actually go into captivity? Okay, there's a part where I underlined. I can't remember the page, but I think it's 80 something. But we'll get there, the most High willing, and then I'll start reading now. And this was the time period of the Romans. So it's going to tell you what happened to the Jews. Where did they go? So you're going to see now, it balances. It makes a clear sense. Oh, the Most High is God, man. We are finally waking up and we are seeing the truth. We thank the Most High for this. Okay, so there's a page that I want here. I think it was 80 something that I underlined that page when I was there busy. Oh my goodness. Like I said, 80 something page, and it's underlined that thing that I want. So you're gonna understand what happened by the time of Roman captivity, when, because that prophecy Christ and I work on, it was supposed to be fulfilled. When it was fulfilled, he said we must flee. But you will see where did the Jews go when they were running away from the Romans at that period. You will see how did they get to the whole continent of Africa, because they were in Middle East of Africa, which was where Jerusalem was. Where Jerusalem was. Okay. Oh my goodness. Hey, because oh my goodness, colors page 80 something. There's a page that I've underlined. It's 80 something. I'm still 70 something. Imagine. I don't like moving fast. Oh, I hope you can see the screen clearly, because I just took some. There's a page there. Alrighty then. Alright, so we've reached the page. Okay, we've reached the page. So alright. Listen to this. It says, Jews fled into African countries such as Egypt. So by the time of that persecution, when they were persecuted by the Romans, they ran away from such things. It says, Jews fled into African countries such as Egypt, Ethiopia, and Cyrenaica, Libya, throughout the last 2,500 years. The main factors that have contributed to the social migration of the Jews were wars, religious persecutions, and the comments, and all factors were operating and gave rise to African Jewish population. Meaning gave rise to the black Jewish population. But you're gonna see what was happening. This is what I want. So in the year 65 BC, the Romans armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem. That period Christ was talking about, the prophecy that Christ was talking about. In the 17 AD, the General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish estate with great slaughter. During the period of the military, the governors of the Palestines, many outrageous and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people. And during the period of the Pompey to Julius, it has been estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa. 1 million Jews fled into Africa, meaning 1 million black Jews, they fled into Africa by the time period of Christ, whereby Christ said, when the like the same thing that Christ prophesied on Luke 24 when we were reading it. So it is estimated, I want you to hear what it is estimated, that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa, fleeing from Roman persecution. So they were running away, and slavery. And the slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves. Black Jewish slave. It shows you that the Israelites are black, and we know, we checked it when we were checking the color. The first teaching is the slave market was full of black Jewish slaves. And the law and so he mentions the Deuteronomy 28 that I was telling you about. And the Lord shall scatter thee amongst all the people, because the cases were taking place, like I said. And the Lord shall scatter thee amongst all people, from one end of the earth even unto the other, and there shall thou serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. The prophecy took place. So with this prophecy and all the residue of the prophecy contained in Deuteronomy chapter 28, 15 to 68, befell the black Jews. So the cases took place, they fell upon us, because we are the true people of the book, and we broke God's commandments. That's whereby it took place. That's what and befell the black Jews after they disobeyed the laws of God. Many nations transported the Jews into slavery, and the sons of Israel transmigrated to every continent. So that's whereby we spread. That's whereby what is this? That is why we got scattered amongst all nations. That is why that was the whole aim, because of this thing of breaking God. The Most High said it in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse number 6. He was scattered amongst all nations. So I want you to see what advantage, like the advantage that we had when we came into African continent over the Hamites. So the advantages that we have was simply this. I want you to see something here. So the advantage that we had is this. So when we go to page number 90, I've underlined something here. This is the advantage that we had. It says because of the stability of the black Jewish culture. Because of the stability of the black Jewish culture, the Jews were not absorbed into what is this autochthonous population. Sorry if I'm mentioning it. It says, in fact, the Jews, every opportunity they were. And the Jews made use of every opportunity. So they made use of every opportunity. Why? They were industrious and skillful people. So we were industrious and skillful people. You see, and in the Jewish Ghanaian state were found kings, prince, governors. So we had kings, prince, governors, generals, secretaries, treasurers, revenue agents, judges, architects, engineers, doctors, historians, language interpreters, mathematicians, jewelers, and what's this? Sculptors and mensas and carpenters, painters of art and goldsmiths, leather workers, potters, armorers, and settlers and blacksmiths and agriculturists and what is this? What is this? What is it? Etc. Okay, etc. So we had such people with skills. We had skills. The black Jews were the skillful people. So whenever we came to different countries in Africa, we were able to overcome them because we were skillful people, really. We are skillful people. So you're gonna see how do we relate, we Bantu people, because we know what some of our people which were there in West Africa, they were taken by slave ships. Those are our people. So you're gonna understand the whole aim of us migrating down to countries like South Africa from West Africa. What was the whole aim? Because some of the slaves which were taken by slave ships, they were taken there at West Africa. So I'm gonna show you. We're gonna see the relation. So I recorded this thing. I'm just gonna play it, and then after it plays, because I wanted to make sure that the work is not that much.